And finally, one of the bankers called me offline privately and he said, he said, Zaundra, I just have to tell you, a bank, he said, the kind of money that you're looking for, that's not what we do. He said, a bank is not going to lend you millions of dollars on a concept.
Hello, Detroit, and welcome to Speak for Yourself. My name is Ken Elkins. I am the COO of Black Leaders Detroit. And today on Speak for Yourself, the podcast, we are blessed to have our guest, Zaundra Wimberley. Zaundra, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We are so glad to have you here today. We're just going to get started, right? And kick it off by you just telling us about yourself, about your business, and what you got going on.
Okay. Well, I am an author, I'm a speaker, and I'm a career transition coach. My company, DreamZ Enterprises, helps individuals transition from their day job to the business of their dreams. So many times we find ourselves stuck in a job because we needed income, we had to pay bills, but it's not our why. It's not that thing that we really want to do and we really know that we're purposed or we're here on this earth to do. And we need to figure out a way to move from that to something that will give us that joy, that peace, that happiness, and that drive every day that we may not be getting from the job that we have.
Nice.
So that's where I come in and I help individuals to make that transition.
Okay. And I'm guessing, since this is a passion of yours, I'm guessing this is probably because this is something that you went through yourself.
Absolutely. And so what I do, and actually this was spawned through the pandemic.
Okay.
I found myself during the pandemic reflecting on my life. My husband and we knew numerous individuals that passed away young. And I woke up one day and I said to myself, life is too short to be miserable. Life is too short to sit in a job day in and day out that you really don't like and that you know that you're just doing for the money when there could be something else or there's something else burning inside of you that you know that you want to do. And so I wound up writing the book, From Boss to Boss. It's never too late to reclaim your dreams and live in purpose, because no matter where you are along your journey of life, it's not too late. And so that is my story. And I started my, so I've been doing professional development for years, but I began to coach individuals on how to make that transition. And I developed a masterclass for that.
Nice, nice. And isn't that a beautiful thing, right? To reach the point in your life when you figure out what your purpose is, right?
Yes.
I remember, and mine actually just came to me probably about 3 years ago. I mean, I've always enjoyed the work that I've been doing. About 3 years ago, I remember coming to the realization that the only organization I've ever wanted to work for was to give people power. I did not want to work for anything that was not in the business of giving people power. And once I realized that was my purpose, it definitely drove every decision after that. And it just made me a much happier person. And why I'm doing what I'm doing today. So tell us a little bit about what was your purpose? Like, what did you realize your purpose was that made you want to go down this road with your business, with the book? What was your purpose?
So I had to go back and reflect and I had to think about it because I felt in some ways that I had missed it. And so the pandemic gave me time to sit back and think about what I loved. And if you go back sometimes to childhood or those skills that you have that people may not appreciate. And I realized that I'm this person who likes to ask lots of questions. I've always been that way. Was fascinated by media. I've always been that way. As a child, I loved documentaries and I loved to watch the news anchors on TV and pretend like I was a news anchor to read the news. So I knew that communications was that field or that area, but I was stopped. I was hindered along the way because somebody said to me, you know what? You might want to think about something else because look at how those ladies look on TV. Because I was not of the proper weight. Right. That you would be, because the women on television their weight and their height was in proportion. Now, I wasn't morbidly obese, but I was I guess today you would call thick.
Okay.
And so that dream and that purpose and that thing that I knew that I really wanted to do, I kind of tucked it away. And I said, well, I can't do that. I can't do that. And so I went along and I went into communications, but I didn't do what I really was drawn to do. I just went into public relations, and then it just went from one thing to the next, getting this job and then just getting that job, but never really being fulfilled in terms of what I knew that one thing that I was supposed to do. And so when I realized that, I also discovered it's not too late because there are other things that I could do that was still in that area. For example, I can speak on a podcast, and the training that I was doing, I realized that that was still reaching an audience because I had many people that would sit in my training. So I'm still reaching an audience. I'm still being impactful. The field of communications, I enjoy writing. So I authored a book. And so I just reinvented myself and reinvented what could have been perhaps a career as a television anchor or something. And I just turned it into what I'm doing today.
Nice, nice. But and isn't that some like just dream killers, right? Someone telling you what you can't do or why you can't do it, and just how that can affect people. And so now
Yes.
with your master class, helping people turn their job into a business, helping people turn their job into a business. Talk to us about that master class. And I'm someone, I work at Amazon. Work at Amazon. I'm in a stock room at Amazon. It's cool. It pays some bills, but I have bigger visions of some things I want to do, start my own business. I come see you. How does that look? What does that look like?
So there's two routes that we can take. So the master class that I have is a 10 week series. One, we do about an hour and a half a week, and I walk you through those steps from beginning to end. So when you complete those 10 weeks, you're launch ready. So you come with your idea, you come ready to work, you come at least having some belief that you can do it, and then I walk you through those steps. So everything that you need to be ready to go at the end of those 10 weeks, you're ready to launch. And then I provide those resources that you need, those connections that you need. Everybody's not a web developer. You may need a website up and going. So resources are provided. You may need financing. So then I make those referrals. And the beauty of it all is that I have been through this before because I've owned several businesses. So along the way, I have started some businesses and I have taken them all the way to the finish line. And I can tell you what will derail it, and I can tell you what will help you to be successful and to cross that finish line.
Nice, very nice. I want to get into your book in a minute, but before that, I want to touch on something you mentioned earlier when we talk about financing, right? So, of course, Black Leaders Detroit, we provide financing for Black-led businesses in the city of Detroit, right? That's what's super important to us. And so, talk to me a little bit about either from your perspective of starting multiple businesses and growing those businesses, or even from what you see out there. Talk to me a little bit about the difficulties of Black entrepreneurs to get access to capital. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. The first thing I would say is that we have to educate ourselves to understand what kind of capital we need, and how to best position ourselves to acquire the kind of capital that we need. So we have to educate ourselves on our finances. In many cases, we know how to do what we do. So let's say you are a baker. Let's just use that as an example. And you have the best cake in the world and you want to turn this into a business. Okay. And all you want to do is bake the cake, but you want a building and you want a structure and you want state-of-the-art equipment and you need to hire employees. You have to educate yourself so that you can understand that when you if you're going to a bank to try to secure a loan, you can't show up with a shoebox with all of your receipts in there and expect the bank to give you a loan. So understanding how the financing of a business works. And I learned that firsthand because I had a company. I owned a baby food company. I am the first Black woman to own a commercially sold baby food product in the United States.
Oh, wow.
So in the early 2000s, it was called Little Lamb Baby Food Company. And I dream big. My company is DreamZ Enterprises. So it was a big dream of mine. Started off making baby food in my kitchen, Southern style. So it was very different than what was on the market
It was some
at
collard
the time.
green. It was some collard green.
Collard greens and cornbread. How did you know that? Collard greens and cornbread, baked macaroni and cheese,
Nice.
Nana's banana pudding. So it was very different. That was my niche, right? And I was able to take that concept from kitchen to an actually shelf stable product. I spent a lot of my own money self financing it. But at some point, in order for it to be successful and to really make some money, I needed to have my own processing plan. And so I put everything together, all of the plans together. I had an accountant, I had an attorney, I had all of these things together, and I'm looking for money. Okay, right? So I'm going to a bank asking for money, and I was young in age and young as an entrepreneur, not understanding. And they would say, "Oh, this is great. You've got a great idea." But it was no, it was no, it was no. And finally, one of the bankers called me offline privately, and he said, he said, "Zaundra, I just have to tell you, a bank," he said, "the kind of money that you're looking for, that's not what we do." He said, "A bank is not going to lend you millions of dollars on a concept. It is an idea, it's a concept. We need to be assured that we're going to get this money back. And I know you've got a dream, and I know it looks good on paper, and you've been in the newspaper, and you're this and that, but this is not the kind of financing that you should be seeking at this level, because we're not going to do it. Now, if you had the millions and you didn't want to use yours," this is what he told me, "then we may lend it to you. But I just hate to see you going from bank to bank to look for this kind of financing." And that was like an education for me, because I didn't know. I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have anybody to help me. I just had an idea, and I'm just rolling with it. So that's what I mean when I say we have to educate ourselves about scaling, about what kind of financing we're seeking, and about our ideas.
Nice. Let's put a pin in that. We're going to come back and talk about a little bit more about financing. Going to take a quick break, pay some bills. I think, pay some bills, take a quick break, and we'll be right back with Zaundra.
So, Jana K is one of the premier vendors at this year's downtown Detroit holiday market at 1 Cadillac Square. The shop offers luxurious charcuterie boards and boxes filled with exceptional ingredients intended to engage with the senses, alongside a collection of glassware and home accessories. The market runs now until January 1st, open Wednesday, Thursdays, and Sundays, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m., and Friday and Saturdays, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. What started as an experience for guests during a backyard quarantine-style birthday party morphed into the charcuterie brand, Jana K. The brand has grown exponentially since its inception, largely due to its curated selection and pairing of fruit, cheeses, meats, and wines. Each board is an experience of an array of cultivated pairings that have been curated to provide tasteful, beautiful, and opulent delights. Visit our website at janak.com or our IG page at JK Charcuterie. When you think of charcuterie, think of Jana K.
All right, we are back with Zaundra. She's right in the middle of talking to us about one of her businesses that she launched back in the day, her baby food business, where they sold collard greens and macaroni and cheese and soul food, baby food. So we're going to talk to her a little bit more about that, just because I'm so interested in finding out, once you was getting turned down for financing because you need to go to that next level, that next step as far as production. What happened from there?
So once I understood that, I began to look at angel investors. It was time to look at investors. And one of the things that I tell my clients is, you need to make a decision. Are you an entrepreneur or are you a business owner? And what I mean by that is, when I started the company, it was like my baby. It's like, I thought of it as, this is my idea. I have children. I'd like to grow this company, and then my kids will come and run the company, and it's going to be mine, and it'll be in the family, and it's going to build generational wealth. I really believe that. Well, I had to make a decision. And because as I was going along the journey, people would say to me, "Well, are you interested in selling some shares of the company? Are you interested in selling a percentage of it?" And initially I was like, "Well, no, it's mine. I want to own it 100%. But I realized quickly that if I was going to get it financed, I had to be able to offer some of it. So it was better to have a percentage of something than all of nothing, or all
Right.
of something that wasn't going to go anywhere. And for the money that I needed, I had to be willing to do that. And so I changed my mindset. And I was willing at that point to offer shares of the company so that I could get it financed to take it where I wanted it to go and where it was capable of going. I put a call out to anybody who wanted to have a percentage of this company. I was willing to share it for that investment.
Okay.
I went down the road of asking any person that I thought, I started with Black folks, any
Right.
Black person that I thought, if I thought you had $5,000, come and invest in this company.
Right.
I actually had a meeting with my attorney and accountants, showing all of our projections and everything. Invest in this company to raise the money. And once I had exhausted that, I went outside to the next layer. Any of the celebrities that I could get in contact with that I thought may want to invest. Sort of like the model that I had watched Carol's daughter do.
Okay.
And she got up and going, and she was able to reach out to Erykah Badu and others who invested. So I had a conversation with Kris Jenner because
Oh.
Courtney had just had her baby, and I said, invest in this company. I actually
Right.
had a meeting with her, and I talked with her, and I will never forget what she said. She said, "Oh, this is a great idea." And she said, "We're not interested in investing. However, if you would like us to endorse for $250,000, then Courtney will put her name on your baby food company." I'm
Ain't
like,
that
"Well,
something?"
ma'am,
Right.
that's exactly what she told me." And I
Wow.
said, "Well, I don't have
Right. We don't want to
$250,000, but
invest,
thank
but we
you
take your
anyway."
money to endorse. Wow.
That's what she said. But
Right.
I turned every stone over to try to get that money. And at that point, I realized that the game had changed for me,
Mhm.
because the goal was to get the investment. I actually had purchase agreements from Kroger, from H-E-B
Oh, wow.
Foods, because I had a salesperson, a dynamic guy who was out there pitching it in the food industry. So they were willing to buy it. All I
Wow.
had to do was produce the product. They
Wow.
said that we'll take it. So I got it all the way to the finish line, right? And I was not able to secure that capital that I
Mhm.
needed. I had a location for the food processing plant. I had decided that I would sell a percentage of the company, grow it, get the market share, get the attention of either Gerber. At that time, it was Gerber, Beechnut, and Heinz. So once you get out there and you've got a market share, here
Right.
they come, and they could buy me out.
Right.
And then I would go on to the next business.
Right.
So
Right.
that was what the mindset shift that I had to make to go where I wanted to go, because I wanted it. It was a multi-million-dollar idea.
Right.
And so I got it all the way to the finish line. I was able to secure about $6 of the $9 million that I needed to
Okay.
make it go. But 6 million and 9 million, there's a big difference between
Right.
the two.
Right.
And I wasn't able to secure it. And so I just had to let it go.
Wow.
Mhm.
Wow. Interesting story. And as like I said, learning a lot of lessons from that, right?
Yes.
But also the perseverance of sticking through it. And I think that's just a shameless plug, with what we're doing is because of that exact same reason, right? Now we couldn't have loaned you $9 million. We don't have not today. We don't have $9 million. Probably in a couple of years we'll be able to loan you that $9 million. But definitely that same reason to when you meet entrepreneurs who are at a shift, right? They're at a point right now where they just need a little bit something extra, a little bit of funding to do what you were doing, to produce their goods, to take it to market, to be able to distribute it to all these different stores, being able to provide that no interest loans or grants for those entrepreneurs. So what do you think about the importance of having organizations or CDFIs or people who can pour into Black entrepreneurs and provide funding for them? How important is that?
It's critical. It's critical because if somebody had sat down and explained to me, if I had somewhere to go for somebody to explain the financial piece to me in honesty, like the banker pulled me aside, then I may have been able to scale it up to a point where maybe I wouldn't have needed as much and have had that assistance, so that I could have still been able to get it across the finish line.
Mhm.
So it's critical that we have opportunities for us to obtain financing. And one of the examples that I will give you, it's critical for us to be at the table when the decisions are made about the criteria to
Mhm.
achieve financing.
Yes.
So many times credit scores are taken into consideration. Okay, and I understand that. Okay, my credit score, if my credit score is a 620 or a 625, I may not be as qualified as somebody who has an 800 credit score. But did you take into consideration and look at that credit report? Perhaps I can show you where I've paid everything on time,
Yeah.
but I was helping my child go to school and I had to take a Parent Plus loan out.
Yep.
And so I miss those payments every other month because I'm doing the best that I can as a single mom.
Yeah.
But look, I pay my rent on time, I pay my car note on time, I've done all of those, which is resulting in this 620 credit score. I still should be worthy for some assistance.
Right.
Because I have, there's a legitimate reason that I wasn't able to obtain a 700 or 800 credit score. That's
Exactly.
different than somebody who has a different situation
Right.
than I do.
Right. I think that's, as you just mentioned, when you're providing funding, of course, you want to look at a credit history, right? You have to look at the credit history. It was interesting when we were designing our loan program and battling whether or not we want to pull credit reports and things of that nature. You say to yourself, we always try not to be like banks, right? We don't want to be a bank. But we understand you have to look at the credit history. But I think what a lot of banks should do, or what we should do, is just as you said, look at the credit story, right? Look at the whole story, as you just mentioned. Yes, there's a couple missed payments, but why are there a couple missed payments? Let's have a conversation about this. Oh, yeah, that definitely aligns with what you told me, right? And be able to understand your passion and where you're going and kind of lean to that and not just some numbers, right? And so that is very, very important. We are going to put another pin in it to take another break.
Okay.
And then when we come back, we will talk about your book. Sounds good?
Sounds good.
So, for this trivia installment is actually one of my favorites as well. And we are talking about Granville T. Woods. So, nowadays, theme parks gross millions, even billions of dollars a year. But did you know it was a Black man who invented the first roller coaster? We really talk about it, but Granville T. Woods was that man. He created the first roller coaster called a Figure 8, which was debuted at Coney Island. And people referred to him as the Black Thomas Edison. And the funny thing was, Granville T. Woods actually sued Thomas Edison multiple times for trying to steal his invention and won. So after losing, Thomas Edison offered Granville T. Woods a job and he turned it down. But he is now known in history because he did so many inventions in STEM, actually. But when you think about it, we never know, just going to Cedar Point or Disney World or wherever theme park you like to visit, that it was a Black man who came up with that concept. So shout out to Granville T. Woods.
Welcome back. We are back with Zaundra. We're about to talk about a book. So you just wrote a book. When did you write the book? I'm sorry.
So this year, it launched this year.
Okay, launched this year. So
Yes.
Congratulations on that. So tell us about the book. What inspired you to write the book? What's the title of it again?
From Boss to Boss.
From Boss to Boss. No, from Boss to Boss.
Right.
Meaning from having a boss
From
to being the boss.
to being the boss.
I love that title. That is a great title. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who want to go from boss to boss, right?
Yes.
And so what encouraged you? I know, of course, the work that you do, I'm sure that has something to do with it. But why did you say, you know what? I need to write this book. This needs to get out there. So what motivates you to do that?
Because I believe and I know in my heart that there are other people out there who are just like me.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to encourage them. I wanted to help them. One of the things that I enjoy doing is helping other people. I really do. And I believe that all of the experiences that I've had, everything that I've gone through, the stories that I've shared with you about the baby food company and my journey, I can help somebody else so that they don't have to make the same missteps that I made, so that they can go further. I got it all the way to the finish line, but with what I know now, I can help somebody else cross the finish line.
Okay. So is it a how-to book? Is it like, what is the purpose of the book?
Yes. So it takes you along my journey
Okay.
of what I was able to do, and then it gives you steps on how to
Gotcha.
plan yourself, how to plan and how to transition yourself from your day job into a business.
Got you.
So it
Got
gives
you.
practical steps and tips on how to do that.
Got you. Got you. Because a lot of times, again, the importance of that, a lot of times we're, as you mentioned earlier, we're just working, moving along, and sometimes living in misery, right? As we're just plotting through our day and just, trying to just, again, make ends meet. And you talk a little bit about, life is just too short to live in misery. So what do you mean by that?
So if you're waking up every day and you're sitting on the side of the bed dreading that you have to go into this workplace, if you go into a workplace and it's toxic and you're miserable, if it's affecting your health, if it's affecting your mental status, then you need to have something to look forward to.
Hmm.
And so being able to have a plan, understanding what your purpose is, being able to outline what you want to do and how you're going to transition out of it. I don't recommend anybody to just quit their job. Okay, I hate this job. I'm going to quit and start a
Mm.
business. You plan.
Glad you said that. So glad you said that. But so you
You
plan, right?
you plan. That
Okay.
is the key. You plan. If you're 3 years from retirement, then and you're going to get a full pension, or your 401k will be funded to a point where you can pay your bills. Then you can continue to work and plan and work on that business. You can start that on the side and then transition out of it. So there's different ways that you can do that, and that is what I do. That's what the book talks about, and that's what I coach on.
Nice. And so if I'm living in this state of misery, but what if my next step isn't to be an entrepreneur? What if I'm, that's just not my next move? So how do you coach me? What advice do you give me if that isn't my next move?
So it could be another a career change. So it could
Mhm.
be a job in something in a field that you really love, or a field that you would be fulfilled in. It
Got you.
could be in volunteering. It just depends on what that why is, what that thing is that you love to do. Let's say you're working in the auto industry in the plant, and you've always been an athlete. You were an athlete. You love sports. You love young people. You can identify. Maybe you're a male and you can identify. Every time you go by, you're watching the local kids play softball or baseball or whatever it is, so you can transition and you can become a coach. PAL is always looking for um, mentors to come in and to
Right.
coach and have a team. So you can still fulfill that yearning inside, that you know that you have something to give. You understand the game. You understand little boys when they're at a certain age, and you can still do something that is fulfilling for
Yes.
yourself. So
Nice.
it may not be a job, but it's something like that, and you're giving of your time, that can be very fulfilling.
Nice. It's so interesting because I learned a long time ago, and I'm sure many people have heard it. If you do something you love, you never work a day in your life, right? It's such a, one of those sayings, but it's so true.
It's true.
It is so true. When you doing something you love, you go to work every day, you go hopefully around people that you enjoy. It's really not work, right? You're just doing something that you're passionate about, and it just makes things all the more better. So to your point, right, of finding what your purpose is, finding something that you love, and pouring into that, just how freeing that is, correct?
It's freeing, it's fulfilling. You have peace, you have happiness, all of that. It comes with it. And many times you do it for free.
Hmm.
You can monetize it, but many times you do it for free. I
Right.
talk to people all the time, everywhere I go. If somebody asks a question, I'm not going to say, "Oh, I'm going to charge you," or call me, and let's schedule a discovery call so that I can turn you into a client. If I can help you, I will help you.
Nice. Nice. Very nice. And so also you talk about that the workforce has changed, and then also the employee has changed, right? And so what do you mean by that, and what evidence do you have to support that?
Well, the younger workforce, also known as the
Oh,
millennials,
those
are
oh, it's burning my
very
ears. It's
different.
burning my ears. Very, very, very different. I
So,
think Jared's our communication person. I think he might be a millennial. He may not be. He act like one though, but maybe I'm not sure. But you're right. Very different. So
they
talk
are
about.
different. So they have a different mindset. they are not tolerating the same thing. So I'll be honest, I'm in the 50-50 club.
Mhm.
So, and I've managed dozens of people, of millennials as well. And they are not going to tolerate the same things in the workforce that
Mhm.
people at my age and older would. So you are not going to treat them any kind of way in the workplace. They're not going to put up with workplace abuse. They're not going to put up with sexual harassment. They're not going to they're not going to do it because they will quit and go get another job. They will quit and drive an Uber and do DoorDash
Yeah.
until they can get another job. They are looking for to work for companies or to have a job where they're going to have an impact. They want to research the organization and see what you're doing and what you're doing to give back. And one of the examples that I can give you is the restaurant industry. So we
Mhm.
look at the various service industries who are having trouble still to this day retaining and obtaining employees. We went out to a restaurant downtown the other day, and when we walked in, the first thing they said was, "We will be happy to seat you, but please know that your bill will have an automatic 18% gratuity."
Mm.
And so the thought was either you take it and you can have this seat, or you can go and place a carry out and get it from the counter.
Right.
But if you come here, you're going to automatically build 18%.
Right.
Now, I can tell you that my first job was a waitress. I worked at a restaurant called Po Folks, and I already told you I'm in the 50-50 club. It was on 12 Mile and Gratiot.
Okay.
It's now, I think, an Outback. I haven't been east in a while. But I worked for $2 and something an hour, and either they left the tip or they
Oh,
didn't.
they did.
And it was just too bad, too sad if they didn't leave it.
Right.
But
Right.
now, in order to have employees, in order to attract servers, these employers are saying, the tip will automatically be there, whether you give good service or not. They're going to pay you that 18%.
Right.
So that tells you that the workforce has changed.
Yes. Yes. Like say putting a demand, the newer workforce putting a demand on employees to do right by them, to do what's best for not only the company but for them
That
as
is
well.
correct.
Right. I did notice that. You're absolutely right. I did notice that on the last two restaurants I was just at, the gratuity was automatically there. And I was like, because then the line would say additional or gratuity. I was like, additional? Oh, y'all already charged me. Oh, I see that.
Already
Thank you for
charged
letting me
you.
know. So, but you're right. So, but what advice do you have, or any advice for companies who are struggling or leaders who are struggling with the new workforce? Do you have any advice for those people?
I do. So the first thing that I advise leaders to do is to listen to their employees, to take the time to listen, because your employees will tell you exactly what they want to be satisfied in the workplace. And it's not always money. They
Mhm.
want to be heard, they want to be respected, they want you to hear what their needs are and to do something about it. If they're asking you for professional development, then put it in the budget or figure out a way to provide it for them. If they want to work remotely 1 day a week or 2 days a week, then consider allowing them to work 1 or 2 days a week, because it's better to have them working 2 days a week than have nobody working at
Right,
all.
right,
So
right.
having that mindset of it's my way or the highway can mean that your workforce will hit the highway.
Yeah, exactly. That is an excellent point. It's interesting because, even for myself, you might have some advice for me. My own perspective is to where, when working with younger folk, I feel sometimes that they feel that their book smarts should outweigh my life experiences. So that's a huge struggle for me at times, right? Like, because I'm pretty book smart as well, but I will yield to, you may know a little bit more than me book wise. I can yield to that, but I may not yield to the fact that that outweighs my life experiences, right? And so that's where I struggle with sometimes. Is I think for me, the younger workforce is coming like, hey, I know this, I want this, I need to be the director today. Because of the information I know and because of the position. And so, what you have any advice for someone like me who's struggling with that type of issue of those encounters?
Sure. So what I have done, because I face that as well, nothing can change the experience that we have, right? Because
Right.
we've been through more. My father used to say, and it's a saying that I hear all the time now, I've done forgot more than you know already. You've heard
Right.
that one,
Yep.
right? I remember him saying that. And I'm like, what is he talking about? But I understand that. And so what I do is I show them. So give them an opportunity, something that's not going to tank the company, to lead something, and then coach along the way and advise, and then let them find out for themselves, because sometimes that works better to show them that you have some semblance of trust for them. And then when it comes back, and in most cases, as a matter of fact, in every case that I've done that, my staff person would come back and say, well, you were right. You told me, you warned me about this, and it didn't work out. You were absolutely right. So I will give them the scenarios of, well, if you go in this direction, this could happen. If you go in this direction, this could happen. And which one would you like to try? And then when they come back, I don't beat them over the head and say, I told you so.
Right.
But they see for themselves, and then they have respect for you as the leader, because you did give them the ability to make some decisions. They just want to make some decisions and feel like they're growing.
Got you. See, I'm a little bit petty. I hit him with the "I told you so." So I'm gonna be real. That's just, I'm like, look, hey, told you. Told you did what I said
But
anyway.
you don't have to say it. All you have to do is say, "Oh, okay."
Okay, I'ma
And
try.
They know it. They feel it.
I'm gonna try. Next time I'm gonna try to say,
Try
"Oh, okay,"
Try.
instead of "I told you so."
Call me, and I'll coach you through what
You'll
you say.
coach me through
Yes,
it.
I will.
All right. I'm gonna call you because I'm gonna
Okay.
need some help. I got a feeling that I'm gonna be saying this at a point. Well, Jared's giving me a 2-minute warnings that we have to take a break, and I don't want him telling me I told you so. So let's take a quick break, and we will be right back.
Detroit Sip is the community's coffee shop. It is located on 6 Mile between Livernois and Wyoming. Inside, you'll find free Wi-Fi, sweet and savory treats, and drinks that celebrate the city of Detroit. Let us be your home away from home. Let us be your home away from home or workspace. Printing options are also now available. We are open every week, Thursday through Sunday. Follow Detroit Sip on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We are much more than a cup of coffee and have the best customer service around. Come chill with us. Inspiration is just a sip away. We look forward to serving you again and again. Detroit Sip, 7420 West McNichols, aka 6 Mile, Detroit 48221.
Welcome back. We are here with Zaundra Wimberley. We're just talking about career transitioning in her book, From Boss to Boss, and just catching up on some things. In your book, you actually talk about how it is possible to move towards a dream job later in life, right? So talk to us a little bit about that. Like, can people do that? If I'm in the later parts of my career, can I still move to a dream job? Can I still move to running my dream business? Like, is that possible?
Absolutely. Because later in life, you're more grounded, you have more experience, and it's never too late. And there's still value, more value sometimes in what you have to offer, because you know how to conduct yourself in the workplace, you know how to negotiate. There's skills that you just acquire in a process of time and age and experience and just being on a job that is valuable. And so it doesn't matter what the career that you want to change into, what career you want to go into. There's always a way that you can get in, whether it's an internship, whether it's volunteering to initially, whether it's receiving some professional development to move into that area. There's always a way for you to do that.
Nice. I definitely agree with that, to where, just like we spoke earlier, right? The life experiences, right? So now there you go. So now you have that life experiences, you have those bought lessons that you bring with you to help you in that next dream job. And so that dream job remains your dream job, or that dream business that you start remains your dream business, because now you have so much other things to bring with you, right?
That's right.
Yeah, a mentor of mine, he always reminds me when I'm talking about different things that I'm working on or different things that I'm doing. He always reminds me, as a very successful business, say, man, I started that business at 50 years of age, and it's a really successful. It's like, but and he always reminds me that it wouldn't be as successful if he'd have started later or earlier in his life than when he started at 50 years of age. So that is great encouragement, how that is possible.
That's correct. I mean, we learn lessons about money management. How about that?
Yes.
You know, and we see it in every industry. You know, you're young and you come into millions of dollars and you spend it on shiny things, on
Right.
cars and jewelry and all of those things. But when you're older, you're thinking more about, you know, what can I leave? What's going to be my legacy? If you're trying to build generational wealth, then you're looking at investments as opposed to having just stuff and things in the right now, in the moment, you know, depreciating assets. So
That's it.
different mindset.
That's it. Very important. Very
Mhm.
important. And so, your target audience, so to say, or the folk that you're servicing is people in the city of Detroit, right?
That is correct.
All right. And so, why do you love the city of Detroit? Like, what keeps you smiling about city of Detroit and its people and the workforce here?
So Detroit is just a mecca of opportunities. Any business that you want to have, in particular, right here, right now, you can start in Detroit. So, I mean, we've got everything from vegan soul, vegan food. I mean, 30, 40 years ago, nobody would think that they could open and be successful with a vegan food business in Detroit.
Right.
We've got hot yoga. I mean, who even knew what that was 30, 40 years ago?
Right.
You can
Right.
start that and be successful. You can, I mean, you think about it, you can start it right here, right now, and be successful. You can be an artist. You can I mean, I've seen some creativity with the in the fitness industry where
Mhm.
they've got cycling businesses. You
Yes.
can go in and cycle. I mean, it's just a mecca of opportunities from bakeries and restaurants to food to whatever you can even imagine.
Right. And
So
that's
that makes me love Detroit.
exactly. That's what I love about it as well. Like you're saying, just the ecosystem of small businesses, and then those that have grown to be medium sized or large businesses. I'm originally from Saginaw, so I always joke with my friends in Detroit. I'm like, the benefit of seeing what you can be. Like, I don't. I think that's a underestimated benefit
Mhm.
of seeing what you can be. Right. And so when you can see that it's possible, then it just definitely drives you more. And that's what I love about the city of Detroit is that you see so many black folk that are doing so many positive things, so many amazing things, right? Who have, like yourself, who have been through so many trials and tribulations, but keep moving and keep going and creating amazing opportunities and businesses for other folks, right? So to be able to sit back and watch that and then say, you know what? We can all do this.
We can all do it.
We can all do this, or we can all. If that's not my path, then what is my path? What is my purpose to feed into this? But I know that I can do something because I'm seeing so many people do amazing things, and so I really love that about the city, and that's just a beautiful thing. So
I
yeah,
agree.
yeah. Um, and so you mentioned earlier when we talk about entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs like yourself, what is the role of entrepreneurs as it plays into being leaders in our community, being leaders in the city of Detroit? What role does entrepreneurs play in that?
I would suggest, like myself, I can use myself as an example of encouraging other entrepreneurs.
Mhm.
So instead of, uh, I had the baby food company and I didn't cross the finish line, I didn't give up. I came back, I reinvented myself, and now I'm taking the culmination of all this experience to help somebody else. So I got to the finish line. I can help you, I can encourage you, I can advise you so that you can cross the finish line.
Mm,
So I feel that that's my personal responsibility as an entrepreneur
nice.
here in the city.
And do you find in your travels, in your journey, has that been offered to you? Have you found, that people have been encouraging, or some have, some haven't? Like, how have that affected you in your journey?
So today, yes,
Okay.
absolutely. I mean, like persons like yourself that are
Right.
giving me this platform today. The 20 years ago with the baby food company, not so,
Okay.
because at that time it was not, it wasn't a mecca of small businesses in the early 2000s.
Okay.
So, and people said, "You want to do what?" I was thinking out, there was no box. I don't have a box. So I'm
Right.
thinking, I can do this. You want to compete against who? Against Gerber? Are you kidding?
Right.
It was a very service driven business kind of environment here. So it's kind of like you're doing what? You're going into manufacturing and food manufacturing. I couldn't find anybody to do my packaging here in Michigan. I couldn't even order the labels for the baby food. I
Oh,
had to get
wow.
those from Oregon. I couldn't find anybody to insure the company. I had to go, I think the insurance company was in Philadelphia. So I had to really, really work to get the resources to make it happen then. But today, it's much better, much
Okay.
better.
And do you attribute any of that to being in, it doesn't have to be, but do you attribute any of that to the fact that you're not only Black, but you're a woman as well? Like, do you think that played a factor in it or not really?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. When we would, and my husband handled the finances of the company.
Okay.
When we would go in to talk to people, and this is a good point I like to make and share. When we would go in and talk to financiers, they would automatically talk to him.
Right.
Automatically talk
Right.
to him. They would look to him and they would ask him all of the questions. And I would sit there so offended because
Right.
I'm like, he don't know the answer. To
Like,
that.
this is my damn
Oh,
company.
he knows about the money.
Right,
He
right.
know about the money because he handles the money. And
Right.
he doesn't. And then he would look to me, and and I would answer, but I would be so offended.
Right.
But I eventually, as we went along, I had to have a change in the mindset. And I said, well, you know what? If they're going to talk to you and if you can get the money, then let me prep you so you can answer the question.
Mhm.
So I had to get wise. I
Right.
was young. I had to learn and I had to be wiser. And I will say that I have thought in my mind, had I had an investor that was not the same gender and not the same race who went and talked for me, and I was in the background, if I couldn't have crossed the finish line, I may have been able to do that.
Right. Right. Right.
So
That's real.
sometimes you got to be wise. with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. That is very real. And it's sad that is a reality. It was a reality then, and I feel that it still is a reality now, right? And that is a very sad point. But why I think it's important for what we're trying to encourage as an organization is, of course, group economics, right?
Yes.
And just
I love
us
it.
coming together as a community, right? Pitching in, making a small investment to support the community. So, like, how important do you think group economics is, and how do you think that will affect Black businesses going forward and keep them from what you were going through?
Oh, I love it. I think it's awesome. That's what I was seeking. And I wish that I had had an opportunity if this opportunity had been available then. Because investing in ourselves is just awesome. We understand each other. We should be supporting each other. And to have that kind of support would just be awesome. I think it's a game changer, quite frankly.
That's it. I want to go back to your book for a minute. Actually, before I go back to your book, I want to touch on something you mentioned during one of our breaks. You talked about helping coaching people through imposter syndrome.
Yes.
Right. So I've heard that before. It's a fairly newer term, at least for me. I've heard it before, but it's a newer term for me. Talk a little bit about, like, what does that mean and how do you help with that?
So imposter syndrome is believing that you can't do something and it's unrealistic to believe it. Something that you may have done many times before, you get stuck. So, for example, you are called to make a presentation in front of a senior leader or something like that, and you find yourself with the jitters. You think that you can't do it. You don't believe that you can be successful at it, and you just fall apart.
Are you
So
an
it's
imposter
the
because you believe
fear.
because you believe you don't belong there? Is that why
It
you're
could be a
feeling
number of things.
okay?
It could be that you are a perfectionist and you just don't believe that you can get whatever you're trying to do. You have an overarching um, expectation of what is necessary. So you've just blown it way out of proportion. And you have a fear, which is a false expectation appearing real. And you just don't believe that you can do that. And it paralyzes you. And so you're stuck and you're not able to move forward. So imposter syndrome, is it real? Yes, it is.
Okay.
And we can suffer from it, and just knowing. And I'll use myself as an example. I know I can start a business successfully and move it through the stages. I've had other companies. I own other companies that have had measures of success. But just today, coming here to this podcast, I had to sit in the car and encourage myself. I'm like, okay, what am I going to say? What is the format? I'm wondering, what my interaction would be with you. Are you going to ask me something that I may not remember or understand what you're talking about? So all of these things can come into your head, and you have to be able to push through.
Yes.
And so I encourage myself. I looked at my notes. I know who I am, and I'm very comfortable talking about what I have experienced. So I have to rely on that. I knew you weren't going to come talking to me about rocket science, which I know nothing about.
Right.
But if we're talking about business and entrepreneurialism and what I do, I can speak comfortably about that.
Nice. So my next question is, Elon Musk is launching a rocket in space. And
About that.
no, but I definitely agree, right? With and it's interesting that you mentioned that, because I think, like, looking at you and your interaction, no one will believe that you had to talk yourself into it, right? No one will believe that you had to speak into this before you came through that door, right? When they see people, they think, oh yeah, they just got it. They just got it going on, and they can just do this with ease, right? And not knowing that, yes, we all have to do a pep talk. Right? All have to do a pep talk. So if you have to do a pep talk, don't feel bad. Don't feel that you're not capable, unworthy of doing something. We all need a pep talk. I do this often. I'm in front of people often. Every single time I go in front of someone, I have to, just go be by myself for a minute, right? I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to be in any space. I just want to be by myself for a minute to gather my thoughts, to tell myself, hey, be charming, clever, humorous, or whatever these other things I need to tell myself to do, and then go out there to do it. And so I think that's something we all have to do at times, right?
We have to encourage ourselves. And the other recommendation that I have is to have a circle around you. For the females, I call it a sister circle. I don't know if you call it a bro.
We call it
what do you call
bro? Oval.
A broval.
Broval. A broval.
A broval.
Jared,
I like it.
We got something new. We got a broval going.
A broval. All right.
We got to patent it before Zaundra patent it, okay? So we got to get
Let
broval.
me write that down.
The broval patent.
Right. But it does. I do recommend that you have a person that is not jealous, a person that is supportive of you. That when you feel like you just are not you're having a moment, that you can call, that you can reach out to, that will, I call it, talk you off the ledge, or encourage you, or remind you. Sometimes it's just a reminder of who you are.
That's it. Brovo's gonna do that.
Okay.
Gonna remind us of who we are. That is excellent. But you are exactly right. Before we go, I want to close with the book. Going back to the book. All right. I want you to share at least one tip from your book that can help someone who feels stuck and then unfulfilled in their job. How to help them move forward. So share something from your book to help that person.
So, first of all, the key to moving forward is having a plan and putting that plan in writing. So you start with where you want to be, the life you want to have, what you see for yourself. You start there, and then you plan and you write it out. You look at your finances. So if it's about saving money so that you're financially equipped, again, don't just quit your job, but take a look at that and put a plan together. If you need some development in that area that you are trying to break into, then seek that professional development, but put a plan together and have something that you work on every single day towards that plan. So if it's just doing an internet search on your business, the research on the industry that you're going into, but doing something every day, breaking it down into small steps and doing a little something every day to move you towards that goal.
Thank you so much. Where could someone buy the book? Where do they go to buy the book?
Amazon.
Okay, Amazon.
Amazon.
Okay.
From boss to boss, Zaundra Wimberley.
All right. And so, and then your website, what's your website?
It is ZaundraWimberley.com.
All right.
ZaundraWimberley.com. dreamz.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Zaundra.
Thank you.
Again, we were
Pleasure.
here with Zaundra Wimberley, President and CEO of DreamZ,
DreamZ in
author of From Boss to Boss, right? And co-creator of Broval.
I am. I want in on that patent. That's right.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a true pleasure.
Thank you. I've enjoyed it.
Awesome. See you all next time.